Hey guys, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take our stationery box die and turn it into a gift bag. Normally, our stationery box die creates this cute flat little box. This one's been trimmed down to fit more like a 4x4 set of cards, or even, actually I created this one to hold a giant cookie for a Valentine's tree. But you can see it's normally a flat box with flat sides, and it works perfectly for holding card sets. But I'm going to show you today how to add some wider side panels and turn that into a gift bag. So to do this, you will need our stationery box die, which I have right here, and 3 sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock of the color of your choice. I'm going to be using red. So for 2 of the sheets, I'm going to use to cut the panels and also the lid for our gift bag. And out of the 3rd sheet, we're going to be using our paper trimmer and scoring tool to cut some wider side panels. Okay, so I went ahead and die cut my pieces. You can see I have 1 lid for our gift bag, which will be the closure, and then I cut 2 of the large panels, which will be the front and back of our gift bag. Before we start assembling everything, I am going to do a little bit of trimming on these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and trim the side flaps at an angle, kind of trimming away this bottom flap that we're not going to use. So I'm going to just kind of trim at an angle and finish off at the corner here where that score line is. So I'll just make the sides of our gift bag fold a little nicer where we're scoring kind of that triangle fold to create the side panels of our gift bag. I'm also going to go ahead and take the lid of our box and I'm going to trim away these side flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and set these die cut pieces aside. We're now going to take that 3rd piece of cardstock and we're going to cut it into some strips. And you're going to want to cut the long way, so your strips are the 11-inch length. And we'll worry about trimming them to the right height later on. So we're going to cut 2 3-inch strips and 2 1-inch strips from this 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So now we're going to use a stylus and a scoring board to add some score lines to those strips that we cut. To the 1-inch strips, I'm going to just score halfway down at 1/2 inch, all the way down the length of that strip, and do that on both 1-inch strips. On the 3-inch strips, we're going to score the short way on each strip 4.5 inches from one end of each strip. Okay, so we have a score line 4.5 inches, which is the width of our gift bag. We're also going to score these strips the long way, starting at the other end. So your 4.5 inch score line is here. Start at the other end and go halfway, so 1.5, almost all the way to that score line. You're going to want to leave a gap, and this is just can be kind of approximate. I'm going to go right about there so you can see my score. My other score line is here. I'm going to stop right about there. We're going to also add some angled score lines to create kind of a pleat in the side of the box. So again, I'm going to do it again on the other strip, 1.5 inches, which is halfway. So we have this start of our side panel, kind of a gusset, I would believe you would call that, score line, so our gift bag can expand. Then I'm going to take this handy little tool that comes with my scoring board and helps me score a 45-degree angle on these strips as well. So what I'm going to do is this just has a groove that hooks in one of the score lines on your board and makes it nice and straight, so you can very easily do a 45-inch score line, or 45-degree score line, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up that score line that we put across our strip here with any little notch, any little score line notch on this tool, and then just score it down to where we scored the other line halfway through the strip. Okay, and to do the other side, I'm just gonna flip it. Once again, match up our first 4.5 inch score line right there with a notch and add the second one just to that center line. So basically what you end up with is a pleat, which will allow our gift bag to expand and close nicely at the top. Okay, so again, I'll do that to this other strip as well. And there you can see we have just kind of a nice angled pleat. So now we're going to use some double-sided score tape and put it all together. I have my 2 3-inch strips, my 2 1-inch strips, and then my 2 die-cut panels. So we're going to start by adding those 1-inch strips to the right side of each of those die-cut panels. I'm going to add some score tape to the back side of those die-cut panels along that edge, the edge without the scored flap. Line up the end of the strip with the scored line on the bottom flap of that panel. So there we have that added flap, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim the excess. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the second die cut panel. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to add a little angle to those strips that we just added. Now we can go ahead and add our 3-inch side panels, and we're going to again just do the same thing, use some score tape. I'm going to put it right along the scored edge of that flap on the die cut panel right there, and I'm going to line up this score line with the score line on our die cut panel. And then you can go ahead and trim off that excess with your paper trimmer or just with the scissors, however you'd like. And we'll do the same thing with the second die cut panel. We will add our other scored side strip. Okay, now I'm going to use my paper trimmer and cut off that little bit of excess on those strips. Now we'll connect those 2 panels. So we have a big long strip that's our gift bag, and we'll just connect this right flap to the left side by adding some score tape on that flap. So now we just need to close up the bottom, and I'm going to put score tape on these 2 shorter flaps first. So there, the base of our gift bag is assembled, and we can go ahead and add our front closure. So we can go ahead and add our flap to our gift bag. I have this die cut piece that I cut at the very beginning of the video where I trimmed off those little side flaps. I'm going to add some decorative heart cutouts to this flap using our Falling Hearts die. I'm going to line the top of that die up with that score line right above the flap and run it through my die cut machine. Okay, so now we have these cute heart cutouts on our flap, but I don't really want it to be open, so I'm going to back it with a second piece that I die cut from a gold mirror cardstock. And this piece as well I trimmed off at the score line because I don't want it to get too bulky where it's, you know, scored and gets attached to the gift bag. It's just going to cover the back side of the rounded part that goes in the front of the gift bag. So it's not interfering with my folds. So I'll go ahead and adhere that. So now we can go ahead and add our flap to our gift bag base. And I'm just going to do that by adding some score tape to the right side of that small scored flap. And then for a closure, we can go ahead and use some of the little magnet discs. We carry these in the shop. These are really strong, really wafer thin little magnet discs, and of course there's plus and minus, so make sure you have one of each for a pair. And I'm just going to add one to the flap, center it right there. I'm just going to stick the other one right onto it. Just close it up and just kind of push that to secure it in place, and then you can open it up and just give it a real firm push onto the right spot there on the base of the gift bag. Okay, so then you have this cute little three-dimensional gift bag instead of a flat little card box, and you can embellish it however you'd like. I added some ribbon maker, scalloped hearts, paper ribbon around mine, as well as a heart arrow die cut and a tear strip tag, valentine tag there, so I can add a little to and from. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this look into turning our stationery box die into a gift bag.